Says it's live here.
Well, let's try it out, man.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if it's going live or not. Like that's the thing. Is earlier today it did and it didn't, but if it doesn't, we can just post it to our feeds anyway. I'm
There you
watching
go.
my feed. Actually, let me turn on. Can I do this now? Turn on your feed. It says it's sending the data. The data is supposed to
Yeah.
be sending. So wait and
Here we go,
see.
guys.
Here
We're
we
tech
go.
technical difficulties. Let's not
Mm.
plug the program you're using yet because it's been working really well for like the last 3 months or so. So we won't give it too much of a hard time.
No, I'm
But
using restream.io and
mm,
it's been killer, and I can see it streaming on this monitor, but it's doesn't seem to be. It might not be making it to the feed. And the live I did earlier today, who knows? But whatever. Let's dive into it, and we'll upload afterwards if we have to. So the
totally.
conversation we're having today is what is the best way to connect with people, and like offline. What did you just say? Because I think it was a good intro to our conversation.
The biggest thing I found with connecting with people is, or the importance of connecting with people is whether you're in business or whether it's personally, it's more so about how we relate with each other. And that's what builds our business relationships and our personal relationships the most. I know when I meet someone that's at a party or something like that, and say you connect over snowboarding or you connect over, you know, whatever it is, like say you like have the favorite foods or something, it's like you don't know that person's like educational history yet. You don't know what they know. You just know that there's the two of you that have something in common, and that's what builds these relationships. And also, they say in business, the biggest business deals are done in the bar after the meetings are over, right?
Yep. At the bar,
Because
at the golf course, on the snowboard hill, while you're surfing.
mhm,
Yeah, I think a big part of that
mhm,
has to do with people are relaxed as well. Like, especially from negotiation, it's like if both people are calm, then you can have like a real conversation. Otherwise, it's like too high stress, and you really can't have that exchange that needs to happen. Exchange of information, exchange of ideas, whatever it might be, in a high stress environment.
mhm.
So I think that that's why stuff happens after work hours.
So you're thinking people are kind of like letting their walls down a little bit, and they're like allowing people to come in.
Yeah, like being a tiny little bit vulnerable, which then builds
Mhm.
trust, which then allows the other person to be a little bit more vulnerable and have more trust, which then you actually have a dialogue that's going to actually get somewhere. Hmm.
So how about you, man? Doing like you've done so many businesses and stuff. Like how important have like these relationships you've built like helped you in your future endeavors? Like have you found that like there's certain ways you've built relationships and connections that have helped you in the future, or that like it's like once you do a deal, it's like done and then like you forget about it? Or do you try and build these relationships to keep on growing as time goes on?
I'm medium at building relationships, honestly, but the like how it actually helps when you do have a good solid relationship, it's speed. It helps with speed as far as like the business side of things, because you don't have to spend that time building the trust layer, having the understanding. You can like really just charge forward because you can trust the other person because you've already done a deal with them or you've already done some business with them in the past. Like that's how I think it impacts
Mhm.
best. And then if you also know that their character, you know if they have integrity, you know the biggest thing you know is that they're going to pull through when they need to pull through. Um, that's where it. I mean, that's why having the networks is so good. I think that's probably the biggest thing is people that have been in their careers for a long period of time. They have like such a solid network that they can lean on and trust that they can just get things done faster, especially for like in my business, especially for lawyers.
That's when you just said that, that brought this thought to my mind that there's so many people out there that they want to start something and they want to like see that success right away. They want to be like a millionaire in a year and stuff like that. And what you just said is that it takes time for people to trust us. And if we're building relationships to build businesses, then the only thing that does that is real time and showing that we're going to be there and showing that we're going to be there for the long term, right? Like
Yeah.
I started business 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Like most businesses, like I could have done it for a month and then quit,
Yeah.
But if I keep on doing it and keep on showing up for the next year, then 2 years, then
Mm.
3 years, now that's that's where you start building something. That's where you build that trust in those relationships. So
Mhm.
it's interesting that we can't really blame people when we start something new for
Yeah.
them to be hesitant and for them to be cautious. And
Hmm.
it's not that they don't trust us, it's that they just don't know if it's going to work or if we're going to stick
Yeah.
it out.
No, I know it, like that's 100% what it is. It's like, okay, is this person actually going to be there tomorrow? And that's a big
Mhm.
reason why people trust brands. Like you just know that Tide's going to be there. You know whoever's going to be there, like the big brand. You buy a Ford, you know that Ford's going to backstop your vehicle if it has a problem. Like Ford's not going away, right? Which is a
Mhm.
difficult thing when you're launching any new business. But like this summit that I'm running here, my little like, oh, where is it? I don't know. It's always hard on these screens. There we go. Anyway, it's below here. It's the first year for this summit, right? And I mean, I tell you, it was a slog, like just getting people on board in the beginning. But you start to get a little bit of momentum. You get someone, you get the next person, you get the next person, you get the next person. And like I'm already seeing forward to next year. It's like, okay, next year, it's gonna be so much easier because we already have proof of concept. It's like we did it, it worked. And then for those that were, maybe said no, they didn't want to be involved this year because they didn't know me, they didn't trust me, they, hole in the wall guy, right? Now like, okay, well, this guy actually did the work, put it in, got it done, made it happen, and so then they can trust and they know that it's gonna work again, right? But some people just need that proof, and staying power and just being around, like you said, that's a big thing of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and it's interesting, especially today. I have to have a couple of conversations and a couple of my own like aha moments where I didn't quite understand before when I was like meeting these roadblocks and stuff, and now I'm like, okay, take a step back. It's like, no, no, people are they're just being real. They're just being like, who knows? It's not that I don't, it's not that they don't trust me. They just don't know I'm doing something different right now, and that's
Yeah.
totally. I should almost embrace that and be like, thank you, I respect that, because like that's a really stand up thing that you're doing. It's just like being cautious and taking care of yourself. So it's just kind of reframing it a little bit, which is kind of
Yeah.
what I've been doing today.
And I think you're only going to have, I mean, I don't know how the bell curve actually plays out, but I know that it's, the front end of the curve is like the early adopters, and then there's the mass amount of people, and there's the late adopters, the laggards kind of on the end of the curve. Like you're definitely right now with what you're doing. And for me, with this event that I'm running, you're working with the early adopters. And it's a
Mm,
smaller percentage of the population. Like really, when you go to the front end, like the kind of the head of that curve, it's like 5%. So they're the people who are like,
nice.
yeah, we'll get on board right now. Like yeah, sure.
Totally.
Uh,
How are you feeling for this weekend, dude? Come not this weekend, but next weekend is the summit, right?
yeah, it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but the bulk of the work, like I did a live that didn't go live today, with one of my buddies, Nunzio. And I interviewed the first person I interviewed in the summit. And that was, I think I interviewed him on November 15th or something. So I've been doing interviews all the way along, fitting into people's schedules. Because a lot of these people, they have busy schedules. Like they're not, they run companies, they're presidents of companies, and it's kind of hard to fit in. So I fit them in like over the course of this like 2.5 months. But I filmed the second last interview this morning, and then I'll have the last interview like sometime next week. So the heavy lifting from the interview side of stuff is done. Right now, we're really more in like the marketing mode, and I've been learning a significant amount. Like the learning curve's been really steep in the Facebook world and the Instagram and LinkedIn. And it's actually been quite intriguing seeing how these different platforms perform from an advertising perspective. It's like what's resonating on Instagram, which I'm fairly new to, by the way. And like LinkedIn, I've been around for a while on LinkedIn, but it's like what works on LinkedIn, and then like what's working on Facebook. And the platforms they're completely different, right? So what people are actually connecting with on each platform, it has to be catered to the platform, is what I'm learning.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm. Crazy. I mean, it's all that's the thing though that you said earlier though, that it's like what you're doing now and this year is all the hard work, all the heavy lifting, and then next year it's like just getting through those tough times at the beginning, those like hurdles, those like it's all that learning. Everything you do the first time takes twice as long as it's going to take the next time.
Yeah, and we're even learning, like the big thing that I'm learning out of this right now is messaging. Like I didn't think that that was going to be the big takeaway from it, but I'm kind of learning what my client like resonates with, which I'm sure you're probably learning a lot too because you're putting so much content out there, and everything you put out, it either sticks or it just goes dead, And you're like, okay. this went nowhere. It's like flop.
Mhm,
Like, all right,
mhm.
people don't resonate with that, and you like trying different things. But what I have learned, kind of like the big takeaway, which is known in the marketing space, this isn't like new knowledge, but it's when you learn it doing it yourself through failure, it like sticks even more, you know. And I'm learning that people do not resonate with anything that has work associated with it or tied to it. It's like if I put like so
Explain.
I'll explain. So I put we probably put out 35 different Facebook ads in the last 35 days. Like every it's funny because like if you look at our ad, I have an ad folder for Facebook and it's here every day there's a new date because there's a new ad, you know. It's just a new ad because we keep iterating and keep trying different things. And in the beginning we were like basically just the ad was, hey, here's this event, you know, this is an event we're putting on, and it's just an event page. It's like, okay, that didn't really stick. And it's like, okay, there's too much copy, so you got to reduce the copy because people don't have time to read, and they don't want to take the time to read, and I understand that. So then we reduce the copy. And so then the copy, like this is where the two different worlds, like what I'm trying to describe right now. So an example is we make copy and it says, um, learn how from 400 of the top, or from 30 of the top experts in the world to sell your business. Okay. And people are like, some, it works. Like it doesn't like completely fall flat, but some people read it and they're like, okay, learn from 30 people. I'm like, do I want to learn from 30? Like, this is like heavy lifting. It sounds like I got to do work learning. And like, okay, yeah, they're the experts, so they know the information. But I'm like, can't they just like transfer it more easily than me learning, you know? And so it's like, really? Like, really? The word, and so the word learn just kills it, you know? So then you like take that out and you really got to focus on, okay, what's the end result? It's like they want buyers, they want their company sold. So like the new ad that we're running, and like again, we've gone through like 35 iterations of it, but the new ad is, and for those that are like on the live and don't know what I do, I help people sell their businesses. But it's like the new ad is 5,000 buyers are looking for your business. It's like, and it's like, learn how to sell to them, you know? So it's like really small, but it's like kind of hitting the main desire like really hard, really fast with like extremely small amounts of copy. And then in the bottom, the kind of highlighting a little bit more like what you need to do, you know? But
Mhm.
that's kind of what we've learned from experimentation over the last little bit.
Jeez, man, that's yeah, that's crazy. I would have thought that it was like it's interesting to see that you've done it like on a daily basis where you're like, nope, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. Um, but great, you're yeah, you're bang on though that it's like, yeah, why are people it's almost because like people are like willing to do it. It's just when they
Yeah.
see that word in front of them and they just like build up this own
Yeah.
thought in their head about what they're going to have to do.
Hmm. Yeah, they don't want to do work. I get that. Like it depends on the category you're in too. It's like if you're, you know, weight loss, like okay, if I'm gonna tell you actually how to lose weight, like it's painfully simple. It's like you consume less calories than you intake. That's it. Like okay, and you like it's like not it's like not rocket science in any way, shape, or form at all. But if I put that like as an ad, it's like, hey, we've broken the secret of like weight loss. It's like you just, you know, need to burn more calories than you consume. You know, people are like, sounds like work. But what they really like is like, here's the new way of like losing weight, right? It's a newfangled way of
Yeah,
doing it with like zero work and like faster and
yeah,
quicker. And the sucky thing is like sucky, what a weird word, but the crappy thing is that that's just the reality of marketing, right? And this and whatever. So you end up like falling into this hole of like the lowest common denominator. But if you can get people's attention and like bring them in, and then they're there, and then we can give them really, really good content on the other side of the wall, the Exit Plan Summit, that actually tells them exactly what they need to do, then some people are going to do it. Yeah.
yeah. The biggest thing I found too is like all of this marketing and this copywriting and stuff like that is just getting to have a conversation with somebody
Yep.
because that's the most powerful form of like sales and stuff is like that's how you're going to connect with someone like these ads and people kind of I'm the same thing too when I see an ad I'm like oh my god that guy's just trying to get me in you know but like that's the job of the ad because there's so much stuff out there it's like it has to be enticing just to
Yeah.
have that conversation, you know? And as a person, we honestly don't have time to sit down and go to every exit plan summit and like everyone who's selling their business. So that's why if you're putting in the work and you're trying really hard to get these people, that's the way to look at it now. It's like this person's trying really hard to get my attention. I'm going to give some of my time to them
Yeah.
because it's just how it works, man.
Yeah. It's just like, it's funny because all we're trying to do is convince people to give time to themselves at the end of the day.
Mm,
It's like, I'm not trying to take any of your time. You're not trying to take other people's time. It's like, I'm trying to give more time back to them because it's like, hey, if your company's sellable, or if you exercise, or if you like change your lifestyle, it's like all you're doing is like giving yourself more time at the end of the day. Like you have a sellable company and you
mhm,
can sell it, that probably gives you an extra 20 years of cash to live, you know? It's like,
mhm,
but it is hard to break that the initial barrier. And then I mean, our contact is what's the best way to connect with people. Um, and I guess from like a technical standpoint, what I've found really useful, and this is like maybe more useful for yourself too, is that like using the Facebook platform, because I know you use it a lot to connect with people, is that once that initial connection happens, I've been sending people, and someone did this to me this week, and that's why I adopted it. But they initially connected, and then right after the initial connection, they sent a voice message. And I don't know if you do that at all, but it's like, because normally people connect on the platform, they connect on LinkedIn or whatever. It's like they're like, tick, 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 and then it's just more text, right? But when instantly fired back is voice, like using their name. It's like, hey Sandra, glad you reached out. Happy to have a chat. Like I'm Scott. This is what we do. Da, da, da. And it's like that's it. And like initially connect, like make that connection using the audio. It's like it's powerful because it's like, okay, this person took the time to actually like connect with me. They're clearly not a robot, like because that
mhm.
connection shows they're not a robot. And that's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah, the audio is definitely something like I've played with a little bit, and it's nice
Mhm.
to like, there's some people though that like have anxiety towards it, but it's one of those things where I'll send a message and then I'll do audio, and if I don't get a reply from the audio, then I know that that person's comfort level is just messaging. You know what I mean? And also, an audio is so much easier than like typing. You can just be like, "Hey, this is what we're doing right now. Yeah, if you'd like to meet up and have a chat, like let's just book a time and like have a chat." And then they can hear your voice, they can hear like
Yeah,
the sincerity of your voice, they can see like there's just so much that's lost in text messaging.
yeah,
So yeah, man, I
yeah,
agree with that 100%. Sweet.
yeah.
Sweet, man.
The text is hard. So how's your week going? You had a good week, didn't you?
Yeah. No, my week's been pretty great. It's pretty chill here. I actually hung out with some good friends yesterday. Our good
Hmm.
friend Bex. We went ski touring for a huge ski tour yesterday.
So jealous.
um, and it was some gnarly conditions. It was like hoarfrost, 6 inches of fluff on like concrete, and riding through like old avalanche debris.
Right.
Probably the worst conditions, but it was super fun to like go on a nice hike and go out and just experience the day. It was bluebird out there, so being on top of the mountain was amazing.
Ah,
Um,
envious.
yeah, yeah. Even the worst conditions in BC are probably better than some of the best conditions where you are.
Yes. Yeah. Well, everything's shut down here.
Mm.
Not much you can do. They shut down the snowmobile trails. They shut down the skating rinks. They shut down the ski hills. Yeah, it's a little bit bizarre.
Oh, dude, that's
It's bizarre
that's
for outdoor activity, and like it's challenging too for people, I think, because I mean where I'm at, we're pretty fortunate, and we have outdoor space that we can cross country ski on, and we can actually snowmobile on the property that we're on. But for people that are more in the city, it's like you don't have your gyms to exercise. You can't really go outside. Like all the pools are shut down. Like all your ski hills are shut down. They don't want you traveling, so you can't like travel to go do activity. And I think a big part of staying healthy during this crisis is exercise. Like it's a big part of it.
hmm
And so I think that finding people so that they say you can exercise, but then they shut down all the facilities that you can't exercise on. It's uh it's kind of an interesting situation. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm super grateful for what it's like out here, man. Like, um, Yeah, I had that Facebook Live this morning with my new friend Loren, and I met her out in the backcountry touring the other day. Her
Yeah.
dog has like these like goggles that it wears. It's pretty hilarious. So like that's how I met them, and then yeah, we just started chatting, and like it was so awesome to be able to connect with people in the real world again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's something that we've never really lost here in Nelson for sure. It's
Yeah.
like I say it every time. I'm so grateful for our little bubble, man. I'm so, so, so grateful. It's just, this is the best place in the world to be right now. I fully believe that.
I know. I 100% agree with it. I know what it's like there. It's good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
It's
And
good
what's
shit.
up this weekend?
This weekend we're going to visit Lauren's, my girlfriend Lauren.
Yeah.
Her dad, it's his birthday, so we're going to visit him out in Osoyoos. So do a little road trip,
Yeah.
go hang out, do a little drive-in. So it's gonna be nice. Go check it
Soyuz is
out.
good
I like
too.
it.
I like a Soyuz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
probably gonna be pretty nice there. It's always really nice there. So yeah, that's this weekend. It'll be nice. It's supposed to be nice and sunny. I love going on little road trips. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this weekend I'm heads down because I'm taking all of the summit interviews and condensing them into like a PDF, putting all the information into a PDF, which is actually going to be a. I'm kind of looking forward to it. It'd be a good exercise to go through all the interviews, but
Hmm.
that's what's happening this weekend.
So, so is this summit just like the interview, like playing the interviews, or is it live?
It's not
Okay.
like I've it's interesting because like you have the option. I've been to a bunch of live events online, and it's a struggle to be honest with you. Like every time I go to them, it's like okay, this speaker isn't like it's not working, and they're like the tech breaks, and like even right now, like I know that our live is like probably messed up, right? It's like there's always something
Hmm.
that doesn't work. This way, it's really easy for the user. It's like and it's also higher quality because I've before I interviewed anyone, I took about an hour and a half to like put together like really quality questions for them that are relevant to their industry. So it's like best for the attendees. And that takes time when you're talking about 30 guests, you know? So yeah, all of it was pre-recorded and then all those recordings go up at the same time. So the
Yeah.
attendees get access to them like when they go live. And then some people can get an MP3 of it and they get the PDF of it and whatnot. But,
Hmm. Sweet. So like when you go, is there still going to be a schedule where like once people get onto the exit summit, are they
mhm.
allowed to just watch any of the content whenever they want, or is it like at 3 o'clock? It's this one you're going to be watching, and like,
It's
are you going
broken
to be like
down by
live
day.
streaming the?
It's broken down by day. So like each day has 10 speakers and
Mhm.
they get access to that day with those 10 speakers and then they can watch the speakers that they are most relevant to them. Cause like some speakers, it's like, it might not be relevant. Like if you don't have a $80 million company, you might not want to be listening to the guy that's talking about how to sell an $80 million company, but you will probably want to listen to the person that's talking about like the biggest site for buy and selling of like $1 million companies, you know, or even
Mhm.
$2,000 companies. So it's like that way it's nice actually because it's like okay, I don't have to like watch everything. I can just watch what really works for me. Hmm.
Hmm. Sweet. No, that's awesome. I like it. And I've done the same thing where I've seen like these live summits before, and like you said, the issues that go on, and literally, if they would have just got the speakers to do their like 30-minute talk and just record it, and then like send it in, like I like the viewer wouldn't have known any different. Really, it's like you know what I mean. But like you said, that's an interesting idea. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Anyway, that's the project.
Sweet. No, I'm super stoked for you. Seeing your stuff's been popping up all over my feed for sure. Seeing your little videos and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's
I'm trying to
exciting.
like I'm almost like head to head with you. I'm not quite putting out as much content right now, but I'm doing a couple things a day for sure. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a job. It's a job
Yeah,
in itself.
no doubt.
But that's the thing, man. It's like in a year, like you'll have it figured out where it's like not anymore. It's just like it'll just be natural. It'll be just part of like life. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny is like and you would know this like better than anybody. So I'm like literally preaching to the choir. But it is just getting rid of that fear. That's all it is. It's like okay, it's like your first Instagram reel. What the hell is that? Like I don't even know what that is. It's like okay, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you do it. and it's like, okay, then the next one you do is easier. The next one you do, it's just like keeps getting easier, but it's just all it does really is like reduces your fear of doing it. Like even these lives,
Mhm,
it's like, okay, the threshold just keeps dropping, which that
mhm.
I find like that takes the most energy. Like, do you feel that way? It's like the fear takes the most energy, so then when it's reduced, it's like not that much energy to go on and do these anymore.
Totally, totally.
Yeah,
The thing that I just realized was I thought that taking like this imperfect action, which is a phrase I love,
yeah,
is that you're gonna start here and you're always gonna be at the bottom, and then it's gonna go like this, kind of like this, kind of like a line up. But it
yeah,
doesn't go that way. Like you start and then it goes up a little bit, and then all of a sudden it drops down. And like what I'm talking about is like the quality of what I'm putting out. I thought
yeah,
that like the first thing I do is gonna be the worst, and then all of a sudden that is just going to get better, but it doesn't. That was the hardest thing for me to deal with, because when things were worse than I thought or lower quality, I
yeah,
kind of like really got discouraged. I was like, I've been doing this for 2 months. About 2 months, I thought I'd be like past this point already, but it's not. So it's kind of like, it's more like the stock market, where you're going to have like, we're going to be in a bull market, but you're
yeah.
still going to have your dips and valleys and stuff. So that was something very, I didn't think about that. I didn't think that's how it was going to be. So now that I realize that, I'm like, okay, it's just like work in progress. It's gonna, things are gonna go good. Things are gonna go bad.
Yeah,
But that's how it is.
yeah, it's true. Every day's a roller coaster.
Because
But I
I
do
still
find like
one
you
of
you start to understand the tech a little bit more. That like lowers the threshold, and you kind of get your stuff set up. That lowers the threshold. Just makes like reducing the friction all the way along the way. You reduce the fear, that reduces it a bit more, and then everything just kind of snowballs a bit.
yeah, totally. Because still to this day, one of my favorite lives I've ever done is when you and me did it at your place together.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, like you can't beat that person to person. So, and I'm excited to do that again because I think I'm just going to. I think I'm gonna set that up as permanent. I think as my studio because
mm,
I like that studio. I like the library feel. It's like kind of cozy in there, and like you can see it. Like when I'm filming, look at the camera, you can see the mountains. So it's like, it's
oh
yeah.
yeah, the
Mm.
color I like. Yeah, the whole look of that room was amazing. So like Lauren and I are planning like a little podcast together, which is super exciting. And
Nice.
we're gonna set it up like that, where we're gonna be like sitting together and like having the two microphones, kind of like the Joe Rogan setup, where we're like
Yeah,
we're doing it. And the fun thing about this podcast that we're doing is I we're doing it like for ourselves, like where it's more of like a couples thing to do together. And
yeah,
since like she really wants to start her own podcast, it's like a good way for us just to like practice and like learn the systems and do all this stuff and not be worried about the content we're putting out, or even if anybody watches it. It's
yeah,
just the going through the motions. And
yeah.
then every week we're going to kind of be held accountable to like, setting each other's goals. And like it's just it's for me, it's like a fun couples game. Like a
Do you,
podcast is like a couples game.
is there a title? Have you guys got a working title going around?
um Not not really a title yet. Like
Yeah.
the whole idea is going to be. We've kind of been looking at like Powers couple podcast, but I'm going to say we're going to be like the opposite of that. Like
Yes.
what I really like is the
Yeah.
idea of us just doing this imperfect action and wanting to grow as a couple. And the biggest thing that I'm finding is like most couples, like they get together and they're all excited at the beginning and they have all these great ideas and all these like passionate goals, and like one wants to do this and the other one wants to do that. And then all of a sudden they find themselves in like this couples rut where
Yeah.
they're just living, they're kind of getting by, they're doing their thing. But then for some reason they just like that passion went somewhere and it kind of disappeared. And it's like that's kind of, I've been in a lot of relationships and I've seen this happen. And it's like me and Lauren, like we don't want it to be like that, and we want to take
Yeah.
steps to like make sure that we keep each other growing in our own levels, but then we want to do things together that that allow us to grow as a couple. So that's kind of like the idea behind this podcast, is just doing it to show like the wins, the losses. Like
I
even
like it.
today we were supposed to get together and do some stuff, and then things just really didn't work as planned, and we kind of
Yeah.
both got discouraged. And I'm like, you know what? As long as we're both in this, we'll figure it out next week. We'll see what didn't work today. How can we make it work tomorrow? You know what I
Y-
mean? So it's just real world challenges. I don't want to sit down and be like, we're this crazy power couple. This is what we do. I want to be like, we're not a power couple and we're screwing up just like everybody else, but this is what we
Yeah.
want to do to make it work.
I wonder how you can like make a play on the power but not power. You know, it's like the unplugged or something like that. Yeah,
Power couple unplugged.
yeah,
we're the acoustic couple.
yeah, for sure. Cool,
Something.
buddy.
But yeah, it's gonna be a fun project. I can't wait till we like get it off the ground. We like kind of like recorded a little thing together the other day, and it was like fun, like our banter and like how we talk and just us laughing together and stuff. It's gonna be neat.
I like it. Yeah, well, we'll have to touch base on it as it like rolls out through the weeks
Mhm.
on the
Yeah,
wrap ups. Yeah,
yeah,
cool, man. I don't know.
sweet.
For those that like, I know like normally it has a little thing, so I know we're not live because it's restreamed, so this will be a repost. But for those that are watching the repost, uh, have a great evening. Good to catch up.
Yeah, awesome. Me too, man. See you guys.
Yeah.